There's a guy who lives 3 streets down from you, drives a 10-year-old Honda, buys his jeans on sale. Nobody at his job thinks twice about him. He's worth $2,300,000. And the guy in the BMW with the new watch, the one everyone assumes has made it? He's got $4,000 in savings and a car payment that eats a third of his paycheck. If that flips your idea of what wealthy actually looks like, good, because today we're pulling apart the real numbers on American millionaires, where they actually come from, how long it really takes, and the handful of ordinary decisions that quietly separate the people who get there from the people who never do. Stick around, because by the end I'm giving you 10 moves you can start making this week, no matter what your bank account looks like right now. Let's kill the myth first. When most people picture a millionaire, they picture a founder who sold a startup or somebody's uncle who died and left a check. That's not the story for almost anyone. Right now, there are roughly 24 million millionaires in the US. Call it 1 out of every 11 adults. Last year alone, the country added over 500,000 new ones. That's more than 1,500 people crossing the million-dollar line every single day. But here's the part nobody explains. Millionaire doesn't mean the same thing for everybody. If you count everything, house, retirement accounts, savings, minus debt, you get that 24 million number. Strip out the house and just count money you could actually invest, and it drops to around 14 or 15 million households. And if you get really strict, cash and assets you could use today, no penalties, no waiting, you're down to about 6 million Americans, barely 2% of adults. Why does that matter? Because a lot of millionaires are millionaires on paper. Their money is locked in a house that ballooned in value, or a 401k they can't touch without a tax hit until they're 59 and a half. They look wealthy on a spreadsheet and still feel broke every month. Keep that distinction in your back pocket. We'll come back to it. Social media has sold you a lie about what a millionaire looks like. Scroll long enough and you'd think everyone hits 7 figures by 27. The real average age of a millionaire in America is 61. 2/3 of them are between 60 and 79. The median age for actually crossing the million-dollar mark is 50. That means for most people, this took a solid 25 to 30 years of just showing up. And here's the kicker. Almost none of them inherited it. This isn't a story about lucky breaks. It's a story about time. Want to see how brutal that math is? Someone who starts investing $500 a month at 25, earning an average 8% a year, ends up with about $1,750,000 by the time they retire. Someone who waits until 40 to start the exact same $500 a month, same return. They land around $475,000. Same habit, same discipline. 15 years later, and the outcome isn't a little smaller. It's a quarter of the size. Time isn't just a factor in building wealth. It's basically the whole game. So if the math is this clear, why doesn't everyone get there? It usually comes down to a handful of quiet habits, not one big mistake. Starting late. Most people don't get serious about money until their financial mid-40s alarm goes off. By then, decades of compounding are already gone, saving too little, too inconsistently. Americans are actually saving more than they used to, averaging close to 14% of income once you add employer matching. But averages hide the truth. A lot of people don't lock in a real savings habit until their 40s or 50s, and life keeps interrupting it anyway. Lifestyle creep. This one's sneaky because it doesn't feel like a mistake. It feels like success. Someone making $60,000 spends $55,000. They get a promotion. Now they're making $120,000, and they're spending $110,000. Nicer car, nicer apartment, nicer vacations. From the outside, it looks like winning. On a balance sheet, nothing changed. The gap between what you earn and what you spend is the only number that actually builds wealth. And for a lot of high earners, that gap never grows. Debt that gets treated as normal, not just credit cards, car payments, personal loans, financing everything. Someone who never stops having a car payment for 30 straight years hasn't just spent a lot on vehicles. They've quietly given up hundreds of thousands of dollars that could have been compounding somewhere else. Being house rich, cash poor, own a $900,000 home, barely any liquid savings, net worth looks great on paper, doesn't feel great at the grocery store. And there's one more layer people rarely bring up honestly: where you started. Kids whose parents could help with a down payment, co-sign a loan, or bail them out of an emergency get a head start that has nothing to do with discipline. That's just true, and pretending otherwise doesn't help anyone. Here's the part most finance channels skip completely, and it might be the most important part of this whole video. Picture two people, same income, same savings rate, same discipline for 20 years. One retires with $2 million. The other retires with $500,000. What happened? Almost always. It's not a math problem. It's a life problem. Divorce might be the single biggest wealth killer nobody talks about that way. One household becomes two of everything. Two rents, two sets of bills, plus legal fees that can run into 5 figures. And the real damage isn't the split itself. It's what happens to the savings rate afterward. A household saving 20% can drop to saving 0% for years, while everyone just tries to stay afloat. That's not lost money. That's lost compounding, which is worse. A serious illness or injury hits harder than people expect, and not just the medical bills. It's the lost income, the early retirement nobody planned for, the years out of the workforce that never quite get made up. A layoff in your 30s stings, but you usually recover. A layoff at 55? Research shows a lot of people never fully get back to their old income. Retirement contributions stop. Social security benefits shrink. Caregiving, stepping back to look after a parent or a sick spouse, quietly costs people, disproportionately women, years of income and missed employer matches that can add up to $200,000 or more in lost lifetime wealth. So no, this isn't just about whether you maxed out a Roth IRA. Sometimes life takes the decision out of your hands, and the households that end up wealthiest usually aren't the ones who avoided every hardship. They're the ones who found a way to recover faster after it hit. Okay, enough diagnosis. Here's the actual playbook. Number 1. Fix your savings rate before you obsess over investment picks. 10% is a start. 15% is solid. 20% is strong. Someone saving 20% into a boring index fund will beat someone chasing the perfect stock on 5% every time. Number 2. Start before you feel ready. Your first dollars invested are your most powerful ones purely because they have the most time to grow. $20 a paycheck beats 0. Number 3. Split every raise in half. Get a $10,000 raise, put $5,000 toward investing, spend the other $5,000 guilt-free. You still upgrade your life. You just don't let your whole raise disappear into lifestyle creep. Number 4. Buy less house than you're approved for. The bank tells you what you can survive paying. It doesn't tell you what protects your future. The gap between a $600,000 house and a $900,000 one isn't $300,000. It's decades of lost investing room. Number 5. Keep driving the car after it's paid off. Not forever. Just longer than everyone else does. That one habit alone can be worth 6 figures over a lifetime. Number 6. Insure your income, not just your stuff. People insure their car, their house, and skip disability insurance, which protects the one asset that pays for everything else, your ability to earn. Number 7. Automate it and forget it. Nobody stays disciplined for 40 years through willpower alone. Set it up once so the money moves before you ever see it. Number 8. In your 20s and 30s, chase income before you chase the perfect portfolio. A raise, a new skill, a better job. Nothing an ETF can offer beats out earning your old self early on. Number 9. Stay invested when the market tanks. The people who panic sell during a crash are the ones who lock in the loss. The people who just stayed put or kept buying are the ones who recovered. Number 10. Stop trying to look rich. Try to actually get rich. The car, the watch, the vacation photos. None of that builds a balance sheet. Ownership does. Index funds, real estate, retirement accounts, equity, quiet stuff, boring stuff. It works. Here's the honest truth. Almost nobody becomes a millionaire because of one big move. It's hundreds of small, unremarkable decisions repeated for decades that nobody's filming for social media. And if life throws you one of those curveballs we talked about, a layoff, an illness, a divorce, that doesn't mean the door closes. It just means the path looks a little different, and recovery becomes part of the plan too. If this hit home for you, or if you've lived through one of these setbacks and clawed your way back, drop it in the comments. I read every one of them. Hit subscribe if you want more of this, and I'll see you in the next video.